Welcome back. Today's story is titled, I Will Pay for My Deception with My Life. Please like and subscribe to our channel. It's a huge help. Now, let's begin. Promises and peril. These two forces should never mix, yet they were the core of her entire existence. They fueled a single, all-consuming purpose: revenge. Her whole life was a carefully crafted deception. Her real name and father's identity were a mystery. Her only target? Roderick Allen Wise-Shaven, the Empire's revered guardian duke. A man known for his sharp mind and unyielding will, yet had a legendary soft spot for his daughter, Aya. But the Aya he greeted with a warm, trusting smile was a fake, a girl with a stolen past and a heart hollowed out for vengeance. Tonight, she leads the Duke into the shadows of her room. The air hangs heavy with dread. No matter how his gentle smile weakens her resolve, she must see this through, for her father's honor. Her role as a doting daughter was just a performance, a path to get close enough to land the final blow. For her, betrayal was never a choice. It was a destiny sealed by her father's sacred dagger, a weapon only he could wield. And yet, he had entrusted it to her. As her thoughts raced, the Duke's instincts flared, sensing a third presence. Before he could react, she struck. The blade plunged into his hand. It wasn't the steel, but the poison that sealed his fate. Just then, Byron emerges. The very man the Duke had betrayed and ruined long ago. As the Duke's life slipped away, Byron savored his victory. He offers her wine with a cruel, triumphant smile. As promised, he gives her a reward. Her true name, Aya Hailing Wishaven. What? Those deep blue eyes, a perfect match to the Duke's, now made horrifying sense. She was the real Aya, molded into a tool of destruction. The Duke's killer was his very own daughter. A truly tragic fate. She chokes, realizing the wine was also poisoned. Her vision fades. The last sound she hears is her real mother, Oilia, screaming her name in agony. Then, a blinding golden light envelops her. She gasps for air, awake. A younger Laura is telling her to prepare for training she'd finished years ago. Stumbling towards a mirror, she sees a ghost from the past. Her own younger face stares back at her. This could only mean one thing. Fate had granted her a second chance at life. Now, armed with the terrible truth, she can finally seek vengeance for the right reasons. Dressed for training, her day begins with Laura's familiar insults. Memories from her past life resurface, making everything clear. Laura treated her like dirt, like a mere servant. It all made sense. She wasn't Byron's daughter, but his prisoner. A burning resentment grows within her. For now, she must endure their twisted games and play the obedient pawn. She will follow their rules, but only until her sword can be pointed at the true enemy. This second chance would not be wasted. Aya then goes to meet with her instructor. His name is Claude. Despite his cold exterior, he is unusually gentle with her, unlike Byron's other puppets. Aya quickly realizes this is her very first lesson. She looks at her hands, no calluses, no scars. She has returned to her 12-year-old self, a full 4 years before being sent to the Duke's estate. The session begins. High-speed runs and leaping through branches. Her younger body is already showing great promise. If she can get stronger faster, she can return to her father sooner. But then, she realizes a new obstacle. Byron had placed some unknown curse upon her, preventing her from leaving until the day of her deployment. This is truly twisted. What kind of curse was it? And why? Her mind races, questioning Byron's true objective. It seemed to be about more than just possessing Oilia. What a pathetic man, unable to accept rejection. Her eyes then spot something strange about her room's exterior. It has an odd shape. Could it be hiding a secret? Passage? This might be her chance to spy on his wicked plans. Running with excitement, she steps in a puddle. There, in the reflection, she sees them. Her eyes, a perfect mirror of the Duke's. The truth of her bloodline hardens her resolve. This time, she will do anything to return to her real family, even if she must obey that vile man. She will endure it all, greeting the demon with a sweet smile, until the day she can truly apologize and love them. In the dining hall, Aya kneels, her head resting on Byron's lap. She apologizes for being late, blaming it on a nightmare where she became useless and was abandoned by him. His dark smile is all the confirmation she needs. That is exactly what he would do. He forgives her, reassuring her she is far too crucial to his plans to ever be discarded. It could have been a fatherly gesture, if not for the malice hiding in his eyes and the sharp flick to her head. A cruel way to treat a child. In her chambers, Laura praised Byron's supposed mercy, a veiled warning for Aya to work harder and not disappoint their master. When Aya gave a listless reply, Laura yanked her hair in a flash of rage. Who did this woman think she was? But Aya kept her composure, blaming her exhaustion from training. Laura released her with a final warning, telling her not to oversleep. The moment the door shut, Aya sprang into action. She had to find the secret passage. Her fingers traced the wall, finding the hidden gap just as she predicted. She'd found it, but the path ahead was pitch black, and using a light would mean instant discovery. And so, the girl climbed into the darkness, uncertain of the destiny that awaited her. Meanwhile, Claude voiced his concerns to Byron. Aya's skill with a sword was too unnatural for a first-timer. Byron, however, simply laughed it off, crediting the Duke's bloodline. The better her skills, he schemed, the faster his revenge would be complete. After they departed, Aya slipped in through the window, having overheard their entire treacherous conversation. So that's where this passage led. She scoffed. It wasn't lineage. It was the desperate hard work from her past life trying to appease him. Shaking off bitter memories, she searched for clues, her eyes drawn to Byron's desk, which was piled high with letters. Why would a man in hiding write so much? The letters were filled with codes and blackmail, a language of pure conspiracy. Byron was plotting with someone to take down the young lion who was under the protection of the wolf. The wolf was the Duke, and the hunting dog he wrote of was her. She was to be his weapon. Killing the Duke was only a small part of a much larger plan. But who was the lion, and what was Byron's true goal? A faded memory sparked in Aya's mind a lesson on the secret language of the nobles. Each family used an animal code to mask their schemes. The stronger the beast, the more powerful the house. The Weishavens, for example, were the wolves. She cursed herself for not listening closely back then. If she had, she would know who the lion was. But her thoughts were cut short by a light from the servants' quarters. She crept near, her ears catching a heated family dispute. Claude was doubting their plan to deceive Aya, but Laura and her mother Capella quickly silenced him. They insisted it was all for revenge, for their family. It clicked then. The servants were all one family, the Ayorgas. The head of their house was Claude's brother, who had once been Byron's sworn knight. His death had branded them criminals, forcing them into a life on the run. They served Byron to clear their name, a foolish dream while following such a wicked man. Suddenly, Claude went rigid, sensing something. He sensed a presence nearby, but Capella dismissed it as a messenger owl. His suspicion lingered, but he let it pass. No one else would be reckless enough to eavesdrop. Aya held her breath, remaining unseen. That morning, Aya couldn't get a wink of sleep, her mind reeling from the night's revelations. She was startled by Laura's screams. Byron was in a rage, and Laura's glare made it clear she blamed Aya. Was she discovered? Laura shoved her from the room, but Aya's mind was already focused on more critical matters. With Byron, Claude read a letter that was a day old. Oilia had collapsed and was severely ill. The news sent Byron into a frenzy. Why wasn't he told sooner? He foolishly believed she must have fallen ill from missing him. Pathetic and delusional. Still, he couldn't just charge into the wolf's den unprepared. So he concocted a reckless plan. A sudden hunting trip, a perfect cover to harm the young lion. Even Claude flinched at the sudden change of plans, earning a suspicious look from Byron. Was it his knightly honor holding him back, or was he growing attached to Aya? Byron threatened him. If Claude hesitated again, his place by Aya's side would be given to another. At a grand estate, a carriage door opened, revealing a boy with raven hair, golden eyes, and an aura of pure, untouchable power. His father, who shared his striking features, hugged him tightly, sad to see him go for a month. The boy, in turn, voiced his worries for the Weishaven family. His father offered comfort. The Duchess, at last, had awoken. If she recovered and his gift was accepted, things would settle. But as they parted, a servant brought troubling news. The Duchess's health was still precarious. A skilled physician must be sent to the Duke immediately. The Empire's fate hung in the balance. Lost in uncertainty, the father drew strength from his son's hope. But for Ayla, hope was a luxury she couldn't afford in this new life. Pestering Claude for answers proved utterly useless. Her days became a cycle of harsh training and poison lessons, a world away from her past. Had she truly altered destiny? Doubts swirled within her. She longed for the warmth of the Duke and Duchess, the feeling of a true family. Far to the west lies Primus City, beneath a legendary mountain. It was named for the first emperor, Primus 𝒓𝒏. A rather grand title. He established the empire, declared himself its guardian god, then vanished upon that same peak. No trace was left, only legends of his ascension. Thus began a tradition for heirs to visit Primus before their coronation. There, they must face the guardian and complete a ritual to earn their title. Which begs the question, why is Byron headed there? Is this related to his lion hunt? But after 3 days, Byron's office revealed nothing. No letters, no hints. Only ghosts of her past, with one memory burning brightest. She was forced to drink a potion that changed her looks, then abandoned in an inn. It felt wrong then, and it's even more sinister now. To follow Byron, she'd first need to ditch her guard. Laura. Her plan was shattered by Byron's voice, calling for Claude. He was looking for Isla, desperate for a glimpse of Isla's silver hair. The walls were thin. Isla had to run. That man was a monster. She scrambled back, gasping for air, just as Byron himself swung her door open. His twisted words about Alia filled the air. He leaned in, making them both recoil. Trembling, Isla offered a polite greeting. The tense moment broke. He left, annoyed she wasn't his obsession's twin. A chilling fear lingered. Did he see through her facade? Lost in thought, she was snapped back to reality as Claude pulled her hand from a vial. He saw her panic. He revealed Byron was too drunk to recall anything. That was somehow worse. He told her to be cautious. Isla seized the chance, asking if this obsession was about Ilia. Claude was stunned, but confirmed it. He called it a profound denial. He changed the subject, placing a candy in her mouth. How strange. Was this pity? He denied it and vanished. A sweet yet bitter moment. Several days passed, and the journey to Primus finally began. Isla downed a potion. Her silver hair turned to raven, her blue eyes to gold. Tucked away was a sleeping draft for Laura. Her objective: trail Byron and expose his scheme. She knew his hired thugs were no match for Claude. Using false identities, they entered the city. A guard gave Byron a strange look but let them through. Only a fool would commit a crime in a city swarming with knights. That night, Isla set her plan in motion. With Laura fast asleep, she took to the rooftops, tracking Claude's every step. The hunt was on. Pursuing Claude across the roofs, she wondered about his destination until a brilliant white flash illuminated the city. There, a boy with raven hair and golden eyes appeared. Was that teleportation magic? He had to be a noble. Could he be the young lion? She couldn't let it happen. Isla vaulted across the rooftops, landing before the boy. The boy stared, stunned by her sudden arrival. Claude appeared, furious that his target had vanished. In a dark alley, Isla quieted the boy, warning him about the killer. This only confused him more. He asked if she was an angel, stunning her. Soon, knights led by 𝑷𝒓𝒊𝒏𝒄𝒆 flooded the streets. From their hiding spot, the boy sighed. His simple stroll had become a huge incident. Isla said she was sorry, but he took the blame. He asked if she was all right. She could only think of her ruined dress. Ever the gentleman, he cleaned it with a magic scroll and offered his cloak. The two began to talk. He's 14. She's 12. He noted she was younger, yet stronger than him. And pretty. Did he just call her pretty? Blushing, she managed a thank you. He was confused, insisting he should be thanking her. He just wanted to see her smile. She looked away, flustered by his presence. He offered a magical brooch as thanks. When she refused, he gently pressed, asking for her name. He reveals his name, Winfried Julius Pallas, the crown prince of the empire himself. Meanwhile, Claude fights to find the prince amidst a sea of guards. But his plans are cut short by Alexia. Their fierce clash hints at a shared past. Back on the roof, Aya is frozen. This isn't a discovery, it's a painful memory. The lion emblem. It means Byron is targeting the crown prince with treason. Feigning concern, she probes Winfried about dangers to the throne. In his innocence, he explains the great conflict, a rebellion by the first prince. Originally, 2 princes existed. The eldest was meant to rule. But the emperor broke tradition, choosing the second prince. This enraged the first. And who was he? None other than Winfried's own uncle, Byron. The horrible truth she already knew was confirmed. Duke Wiseshaven crushed that rebellion, forcing Byron into exile with a bounty on his head. Yet Winfried shows no malice, only duty. His pure heart is a painful reminder for her. His noble words are like daggers of guilt to Aya. She recalls the devastation her past actions caused. This second chance feels heavy. It's a crushing responsibility, and a blessing she must not waste. Her resolve set, Aya vows to protect him. She tries to return his brooch, but he refuses. He seals it in a magic box that can alter its form, leaving no trace of its existence. A priceless gift. He asks for her name, to bind it to her with a spell. She gives a false name, only telling him she is Isla Hailing. The name makes him hesitate, but he finishes the spell. To summon it, a whistle she cannot make. Meanwhile, Alexia mocks Claude in their fierce duel, taunting his fall from grace as a knight. Overwhelmed by her and the approaching guards, Claude finds an opening, using a hidden scroll to vanish without a trace. Aya seizes her chance, pulling Winfried to safety. To his questions, she offers one vital truth. The assassin serves your uncle. That is all he needs to know. Leading him to safety, she asks for one promise. If he learns her true name, he must tell her parents to wait. And then she vanishes, leaving the prince wondering if their fates will ever cross again. The next morning, Laura is woken by her mother's furious screams. Confused about fainting, she's unaware that Aya was the cause. With a mere snap of her fingers, the magic box appears. She has changed, no longer needing to whistle. Its warm, magical light offers her a moment of peace. But panic returns. Claude has vanished, and security is now tightening. Capella orders Laura to watch Aya and cancels the temple trip. How will Aya escape now? Aya realizes a horrifying truth. If she had failed, Byron would have displayed her as his prize. A gruesome fate she narrowly avoided. But changing destiny this way brings her no regret. She saved a precious life. Elsewhere, Alexia kneels in shame for her failure. Winfred consoles her. They must return to the capital before Byron strikes again. Winfred now has a new mission. Find the mysterious Ayla Hailing and honor her wish. The city of Primus is locked down following the assassination attempt on the prince. No one can enter or leave without a grueling search and interrogation. Because of this, Byron seethes with rage while he and Aya hide in a cargo hold. They barely escape notice. Just nights before, Claude clashed with the Imperial Knight, 𝑑𝒓𝒊𝒏𝒄𝒆. Gravely wounded, he wrote to Byron, retreating to their old hideout to recover alone. To Aya's shock, Byron orders an immediate retreat to rendezvous with Claude. If Claude is that important to Byron, perhaps he could become an unexpected ally for her. Perhaps their paths were fated to cross once more. She didn't have all the pieces, but she knew Byron's sudden reappearance was deeply connected to Winfred's journey to Primus. Days later, the prince returned to the imperial palace, met by his anxious father, the emperor. He waved off his father's concerns, assuring him he was unharmed. A savior had protected him, after all. This intrigued the emperor, but to his dismay, Winfred refused to speak of Aya. In truth, Winfred himself knew very little. What was there to say? He simply stated the matter was under investigation. He was determined to learn more about Aya, and most importantly, find her parents. Outside his son's earshot, the emperor gave a secret order to 𝒓𝒏𝒄𝒆. A special unit would return to Primus and uncover every detail of that night. Nothing would remain hidden. Meanwhile, at the Wissehaven estate, medics couldn't diagnose Duchess Alia's illness. Rodri didn't fault them. He knew they were doing their best. Joining his wife, he delivered some grave news. The emperor had sent word. Byron had made his move. To understand their twisted bond, we must look to the past. A blood-red sky hung over the empire as a furious Rodri entered the palace, his eyes burning with killing intent. Before him, Byron greeted him with a sneer, mocking his prompt arrival. It was no surprise Rodri came running the moment the imperial family was threatened. Rodri cut him off with an icy glare, reminding him he was a traitor. Any princely title he once held was now meaningless. The accusation struck a nerve. Byron erupted like a madman, screaming that Rodri had schemed against him. He was the first prince, yet everything was stolen from him. The throne, the empire, even Alia, the woman he loved. Seeing Byron's rampage, the emperor finally spoke. He ordered Rodri to stop Byron, even if it meant taking his life. At that, Byron snapped. Just then, Claude burst in to restrain him. Unleashing a fierce blow, Byron smirked, leaving Rodri with a chilling vow. One day, he would shatter that arrogant look on his face. That night, Byron vanished. His escape coincided with Aya's disappearance, leaving Rodri and Alia shattered. Back in the present, Rodri shared the news. Aya was seen at Primus during an assassination attempt on Winfred. No, he clarified, she saved him. Though terribly ill, Alia forced herself to stand. The news that Aya was alive reignited the hope in her heart. Hand in hand, she begged her husband to search for Aya with her. Weeks stretched into 3 long years. In the biting cold, a carrier pigeon suddenly interrupted Aya's training with Claude. After reading its contents, he dismissed her, and she instantly fled. As the frost bit her cheeks, she could only ponder the uncertain future. She hoped that somehow, someday, she would meet Winfred again. Grown up, they would be a match made by the stars. At the imperial palace, the emperor pestered Winfred endlessly, trying to get his attention. When that failed, he resorted to teasing him about his first love. A racing heart, no focus, loss of appetite. This wasn't sickness, but a classic case of love. No wonder the medics were baffled. A deep blush crept up Winfred's cheeks. He had never considered that possibility. The more he thought about it, he had to admit his father's words rang true. For the last 3 years, he had thought of Aya non-stop. 3 years, yet he still hadn't discovered her identity, found her parents, or delivered her message. After the teasing exchange, the emperor's tone grew serious, handing Winfred a letter. 3 years ago, Winfred had been unable to meet the Wissahaven family due to their sudden journey west. But now, the Emperor was granting him a chance to visit, sending him to deliver gifts and congratulations. Winfred beamed with delight. He could finally see his master, Rodri, again, but a question remained. What were the congratulations for? Beaming, his father shared the wonderful news. Rodri and Alia Wissahaven were welcoming a new child into their family. Back at Byron's hideout, Aya observed Byron's office from the shadows. What letter could cause such chaos in the entire household? There was only one way to find out. She would sneak inside by nightfall. Prying into Byron's personal affairs had become a dangerous habit over the past 3 years. One of her greatest discoveries was that Byron had a secret collaborator, Count Sonus of Incel. Byron's world shatters with the news. Oilia, pregnant with another man's child. The old wound in his heart ripped open anew. A chilling, insane laugh escapes his lips. He would use Aya to destroy that innocent life. Truly, a plan born from madness. That night, Aya finds Byron's office utterly destroyed. His rage had left nothing untouched. Yet among the debris, she finds a single letter, one that would alter her destiny. The next morning, Claude sends Aya away earlier than usual. He noticed her vacant gaze, her mind lost in a storm. As always, she quickly fled, running from unseen demons. Aya ran deep into the wilderness, desperate to escape. Her thoughts were a chaotic whirl. Byron's letter revealed the truth. Her mother, Oilia, was expecting a new child, and that single fact shattered her. In her first life, there was no other child. All their love had been hers, pure and undivided. Now, it seemed they had simply forgotten her. Had they given up? Was there no longer a place for her in their world? The weight became too much to bear. Tears streamed down her face as she begged the heavens not to cast her aside. As if fate itself were mocking her, a rabbit family appeared, a picture of pure joy. Overwhelmed with grief, she chased them. As if pursuing the family she was cruelly denied. Miles away, Oilia stared blankly out the window, her gaze lost in the falling rain. A new life was on the way, yet her heart ached for Aya, the daughter stolen from her. She turned to her husband, consumed by guilt. If only she hadn't blindly trusted that nanny. For years, she searched for Aya relentlessly, a desperate penance. The guilt she carried made a new child unthinkable. And yet, she couldn't turn away from this new, precious blessing. She prayed that somehow Aya would know that her parents still loved her more than anything. A family torn apart by one man's bitter obsession. Curse Byron for this tragedy. In the cold rain, Aya chased the fleeting image of family, trembling at the thought of being replaced. Returning late, she faced Byron's icy wrath. Shivering from the cold, she managed a weak apology. But her apology only fueled his rage. In her, he saw a painful phantom of Oilia. He vented his fury upon her, casting Aya out into the storm and ordering the servants never to let her inside. Claude and Laura watched in horror, but Byron walked away without a shred of pity. Claude rushed to protest, begging him to reconsider. But Byron coldly dismissed him, ordering they prepare to leave at once. It seems Rodri, Aya's father, was spotted in a nearby village. That man's relentless search for his daughter was jeopardizing everything Byron had built. With Rodri so close, Byron refused to take risks. He gave Claude a chilling order: leave Aya until she collapsed. Once she fell, Claude was to throw her in the cargo hold. They would flee before Rodri found them, with or without a conscious Aya. As if on cue, Laura burst in with urgent news. Aya had finally collapsed. Byron simply chuckled, amused it had taken her so long to break. He waved them away with a sneer, telling them to have fun with their broken toy. As Aya's consciousness faded, a gentle voice called to her. In her feverish dreams, she felt her mother's embrace and heard Winfred's soothing words, but the warmth was a cruel illusion. She awoke to find Claude watching over her. Disoriented, she mumbled about his deception. A chill shot down Claude's spine. How could she possibly know? A pang of guilt, Claude? Weeks passed, but Aya's fever refused to break. Byron's patience ran out. They threw her into the cargo hold like luggage. But then, a warm hand gently touched her forehead. It was Claude. From the shadows, Laura's voice cut in, questioning his sudden concern for Aya. He quickly deflected. Worried for Aya? Of course not. He was merely concerned for Lord Byron. After all, Aya was his master's most valuable tool, but inside, Claude was at war with himself. A wave of guilt washed over him. If she truly knew of his betrayal, what then? Feeling helpless now, are we? As if he weren't a key player in her misery. The absolute nerve. Capella, however, disapproved of Claude's focus. He should be protecting his own cousin, Laura. Laura was the one who truly needed him. Meanwhile, Winfred finally met with the Duke and Duchess, his cherished guardians. As usual, they shared stories of the past, but Winfred remembered his duty to offer congratulations. Soon, a mountain of gifts was brought in, but Winfred had his own special present, a custom-made rattle for the baby. The room was filled with joy. He saw they weren't as grief-stricken as his father had described. Before he left, his father spoke of their lost daughter, telling Winfred to offer comfort if needed. For a heartbeat, Winfred felt a wave of guilt. He wanted to confess about his original gift, but that meant revealing his mysterious savior. It struck him then. His savior, Aya, was the same age as the lost daughter and looked just like the Duchess. A cold sweat formed on his brow. Could his savior and the lost daughter be the same person? He desperately wanted to tell them, but feared reopening a painful wound. He couldn't stop staring at the Duchess. The resemblance was undeniable, and the couple soon noticed his gaze. Understanding the hint, Rodri made an excuse, leaving Winfred alone with Oilia, his greatest fear. Despite his nerves, he had to know more. Oilia was from the Republic of Timora. He asked if silver hair was a common trait there. She surprised him by saying no. In fact, it was a rare trait, unique to her own family, House Hailing. For Winfred, time itself seemed to stop. In that moment, his suspicion became a certainty. Aya Hailing was their long-lost daughter. A new resolve filled his heart. He gathered all his courage to finally tell Oilia the truth. 3 years ago, he began, "I met your daughter." Her name alone brought the Duchess to tears. In an eastern port, a woman wrote to Oilia. She was eager to see her and check on her condition. This woman was 𝒓𝒏, a famed mage and headmistress of the Tomorrow Republic Academy. As Oilia's friend, she often wondered the same thing. Where could her friend's daughter possibly be? If only she knew. Aya was just behind her, concealed within a carriage's cargo hold. Back at the estate, Rodri and Oilia were overwhelmed after hearing Winfred's message from Aya. Their composure broke completely. They wept for their daughter, embracing a new hope for their family. It was a beautiful sight. Winfred watched them, his own heart filled with genuine happiness. He wished he could tell Aya how they had always waited for her. After many tears and tissues, Oilia finally calmed herself, amazed at the strange workings of fate. She then said, "To think you would meet your betrothed after all these years?" Winfred was utterly confused. Oilia chuckled, revealing Aya was once his fiancée, a memory Rodri seemed to want to forget. His face turned beet red as he begged Oilia for the full story. Who could have known his first love was promised to him all along? Years ago, in the Imperial Garden, their parents were enjoying a pleasant afternoon together. A young Winfred had refused to leave baby Aya's side. Amused, the Emperor joked they should be engaged. Of course, Rodri took the joke seriously, but a crying Winfred had already decided he would marry Aya. The memory made him burn with shame. But for Oilia, it was one of her most precious memories of her daughter. And thanks to Winfred, she could finally remember Aya with warmth instead of just pain. Her broken heart was slowly starting to heal. Meanwhile, Claude and Laura stopped their journey. They reviewed their cover story. But Claude only stopped because he wanted to check on Aya. He called for her to come out, but just as she did, Imperial Knights appeared on the road. They threw a cloak over Aya, trying to act normal, but their story failed when a knight recognized Claude. They were caught. Claude drew his sword, needing to silence them before they could call for backup. He prepared for a fight, but Aya's quiet voice stopped him. She offered to deal with the knights herself. Claude was hesitant, but Aya provoked them to face her. Surely they couldn't see her as a threat? Choosing Aya over Claude, the knights picked their opponent, certain of an easy victory. But by dusk, Byron arrived to a shocking sight. Aya, surrounded by 3 downed knights. He didn't know the truth. She'd only knocked them unconscious, refusing to take a life. One knight awakens, but Aya silently warns him to play dead. If Byron knew they survived, their fate would be sealed. Honestly, Aya herself was tempted to end Byron right there, but to break her curse and destroy him, she had to endure. Trembling, she walked back to his side. Hearing their words, the knight was baffled. Byron has a daughter? And with silver hair? None of this added up. At Claude's signal, the group prepared to leave, and the knight began to panic. If he stayed here, Byron would escape once more. He moved to act, but Aya subtly stopped him. She wasn't protecting Byron. It just wasn't the right moment to strike. Their silent exchange ended. She prayed he would pass the message to his comrades. That night, the group plotted their next move. On Byron's command, the underground route was off the table. With nowhere left to run, Byron considered a desperate option, fleeing to the foreign land of 𝒓𝒐𝒏. Elsewhere, Nexon stormed into a tavern, demanding to hear from the knights who faced Byron. They quickly explained everything, focusing on the mysterious Aya. Nexon instantly deduced the truth. She was the lost 𝑷𝒓𝒊𝒏 child, calling Byron father, yet secretly plotting against him. What was truly going on? To protect Aya, Nexon made a hard choice. She would not pursue them. Her duty now was reporting to the imperial family. The next day, Nexon escorted Winfred to the White 𝑷𝒓𝒊𝒏 estate. But with Rodri himself heading to the palace, Winfred knew Nexon carried urgent news. In the imperial court, before the emperor and Duke Yevon, Nexon revealed all she had learned. Aya 𝑷𝒓𝒊𝒏 was alive and trained as a skilled swordswoman, but if she was so strong, Nexon wondered why she hadn't escaped Byron's grasp. Winfred recalled that even 3 years ago, Aya spoke as if she was trapped, but she promised to return. He knew she must have a hidden plan. The critical question was why Aya couldn't leave. At this, Rodri proposed an imperial noble audit, a bold move that would anger the aristocrats, but would also expose who was funding and aiding Byron. Someone was clearly shielding Byron, be it a local power or a foreign noble. The emperor's reaction was surprisingly sharp. When he took the throne after Byron's exile, he and Rodri had crushed the rebel factions themselves. Rodri's statement sounded like a challenge to their past competence. He gave Rodri a chance to take it back, but the Duke refused. Winfred watched anxiously, fearing their lifelong friendship might break. But to his relief, his father and the Duke quickly reconciled, already forming a new plan of action together. Later that evening, Candace went to a tavern, hoping to gather information on Aya. But as she approached, a woman's scream pierced the air. She rushed to help, but a hooded figure beat her to it, swiftly disabling the attackers. All she saw were piercing blue eyes. Little did she know, this incredible girl was the very person she sought, Aya 𝒓𝒏𝒄𝒆. Candace tried to speak with Aya, but Laura intervened, thanking her before leading Aya away. Suddenly, Candace's magic alarm chimed. Time to return. Watching them disappear, she refocused her mind on finding her friend's lost daughter. Back at the inn, Byron was enraged to learn he would get no carriage to 𝒓𝒐𝒘𝒏. As Laura fetched water, Aya contemplated the changing situation and the rumors of her betrayal. Suddenly, Byron's cold gaze fell upon her, asking about the bodies he saw near the inn. Claude stepped in, apologizing for Aya. He claimed he should have ensured she finished the job properly. Claude then signaled for Aya to go to her room. She obeyed, her back against the door, wondering if Claude saw her silent exchange with the knights. Why was he helping her? She recalled Winfred's words about accepting gratitude. In his office, Winfred finally completed his drawing. A soft knock came at his door. It was Vinka, bringing him tea and asking about his work. He requests a frame, feeling guilty for her recall. But for Vinka, this interruption is just another piece falling into place. Serving him tea, she probes again about his art. Winfred hesitates, his silence telling. Vinka's gaze drops as she jests about her humble station, but Winfred confesses it's only embarrassment. Soon, Vinka departs, stalking the grand hallways alone. She gazes from a window as a strange voice whispers, noting the inconsistent effect of her magic. Was she tricked in their deal? The voice clarifies the tool has limits, it's still just a prototype. The voice taunts her, reminding Vinka that she was the one who craved this power, calling her a greedy girl. What dangerous pact did she make? She admits the results are unstable and demands a replacement, but the voice refuses. The magic of mind interference is a dangerous art. A shadow forms behind her. A voice warns that their deal is done, urging her to leave the palace before she's caught. The presence vanishes, leaving Vinka staring into the glass, utterly alone. A passing servant with a frame questions her presence. She is Vinka, a maid of the imperial palace. But something feels wrong. Is she truly just a servant here? What is her real identity? At Yevon Manor, Candace's cheerful greeting is met by Winfred's playful mood. Oilia then makes a formal introduction. A moment later, Rodri reveals Winfred's gift, a portrait of Aya. They can finally see her face. The sight moves Oilia and Rodri to tears, but Candace is frozen. The girl from the old town was truly Aya. Meanwhile, Laura calls to Aya, who is lost in thought, staring out the window. Laura pulls her back, scolding her for being careless without her disguise. She then asks about her condition. Aya obediently drinks the disguise potion, her hair shifting to pink. Laura reminds her that her life is not hers alone. The thought of Byron's sorrow if she were caught weighs on her. She knows her true father would be devastated. If she escapes recklessly from Byron, what then? In a future shrouded in threats, when will she ever find her freedom? At dawn, they reach the 𝒓𝒐𝒃 kingdom, welcomed warmly by the Count. He presents his son, Gerald. His eyes lock with Aya's. Back at the manor, Candace recounts their fateful meeting. Rodri reminds Oilia that Aya left of her own accord and doesn't wish to be found. He insists it's best not to pursue her for now, but Oilia passionately disagrees with his caution. Their argument about Aya escalates until Candace claps sharply, demanding their attention. She tells them Aya wouldn't want her parents to fight. They both love her, but their approaches are tearing them apart. Nothing will be solved this way. She soothes them, promising they will find a better solution together. Soon, ideas begin to flow. Oilia suggests using magic to track Aya, fearing Byron will discover their plans. Candace proposes investigating the illegal scrolls Byron traffics in. Suddenly, Winfred remembers something. The magic box he gave Aya. Oilia could track it, but the room falls silent, leaving him bewildered. Oilia apologizes, revealing she lost her magic 3 years ago. The cause remains a medical mystery. But then, she has a realization. The box might still be traceable. Every spell leaves a trace, a unique magical signature. A high-ranking mage can sense these waves, no matter how faint. But with no mage more powerful than Oilia was, tracking seems impossible. Seeing their hope fade, Candace asks how it could be found. Oilia says only a stronger mage could do it, and turns to Candace. She may have lost her power, but she sees incredible potential right before her eyes. She then asks Candace a fateful question. Is she willing to become the continent's greatest archmage? What an incredible turning point. At the Insel Kingdom, Gerald compliments Isla's refined manners. She never met him in her past life. She has no information on him. He asks for her name, disbelieving she has none. He mockingly calls her Blondie, sparking her irritation. She warns him to ignore her, but why? They are to be engaged. In his office, Byron rejects the Count's proposal for Aya and Gerald's betrothal. He reveals Aya is not his true daughter. Does the Count truly wish this for his heir? He warns him not to covet his possessions. The Count demands he explain himself. But to buy his silence, Byron hands him an information scroll on the Empire. If only the greedy Count had listened. Wife, he'd have already taken control. Later at dinner, Gerald relentlessly quizzes Aya about her abilities. He promises a fine dress after their wedding. After all, a duchess must look the part. Aya seeks refuge in the garden, desperate to avoid Gerald. If she angers him, Byron's wrath is certain. She has to bear it, or sickness will erase her memories. But then, she spots Gerald and acts fast, pinning him to the ground. As he moves to strike her, Claude appears like a shadow. He issues a stark warning, which infuriates Gerald. With a single command to his knight, Claude would be nothing but a memory. Undeterred, Claude unleashes a chilling aura, forcing Gerald to retreat. Immediately, his concern turns to Aya. She sees the sweat on his neck. Had he rushed here just for her? Before leaving, Claude reveals a truth. The engagement is a sham. Byron would never give her up. And from the shadows, Byron watches them. In the Pale Empire, a dream Winfred chases Aya. Her words shatter him. She's engaged to another. He jolts awake, gasping for air. Vinka is suddenly there, her voice soft with concern, asking what's wrong. She offers a listening ear, but he dismisses it as just an unsettling dream. He praises Vinka's kind heart, asking about her duties. She insists that serving him is her greatest honor. She explains that Winfred reminds her of her own younger brother, who is the very same age. This mind interference magic on Winfred, what is its true purpose? On her deathbed, Vinka's mother confessed a secret. A long-lost sibling was living in the capital. Vinka didn't hesitate for a moment. She journeyed to the capital and found her younger brother. She cherishes every moment with him now. In a short time, they've bridged the gap of all their lost years. The Chamberlain's sudden entrance shatters the moment, reminding Vinka to leave preparations to the other servants. She apologizes at once and departs. The Chamberlain warns that such encounters will surely spark a scandal. Winfred sees Vinka lingering and playfully smacks the Chamberlain with a pillow. He scolds him for his rudeness. But the Chamberlain argues that rumors spread like wildfire, and the truth arrives too late. A sudden vision of Aya flashes in his mind. The Chamberlain sees the shift in his eyes. He continues, warning that these rumors could cause a great misunderstanding with the one Winfred truly loves. With that, he presents Winfred's daunting schedule for the day. Winfred is stunned by the mountain of work. It is, the Chamberlain says, penance for his visit to the Duke's house. With no choice, he resigns himself to his duties. Yet, even as he works, his thoughts drift back to Aya. As the months fly by, Oilia begins teaching Candace the secrets of magic. Roderick manages the duchy, while Aya hones her sword skills with Claude, dodging Gerald. 6 months pass, and Oilia delivers a healthy baby boy. Roderick hurries to her side, his eyes filled with overwhelming emotion. Candace bursts in, gazing at her new nephew. She cryptically states she can now leave in peace, confusing Oilia. With a hand on her heart, she declares she has finally broken past her own limits. She asks them to wait just a little longer. She promises to bring back their first daughter, Aya, a younger brother for Aya. Meanwhile, outside the room, Winfried waits with his father, who speaks of Summer's good fortunes. His father enters, but first wishes Winfried a safe journey as envoy to the 𝑑𝒓𝒊𝒏 kingdom. Meanwhile, in 𝑑𝒓𝒊𝒏, at Count Einer's manor, Aya walks the halls after evading Gerald all day. She overhears Byron and Erinner in the office discussing a 𝑷𝒓𝒊𝒏𝒄𝒆. Drawn by curiosity, she listens from the cracked door. 𝑷𝒓𝒊𝒏𝒄𝒆 was caught by the king? Who is he? But in a clumsy moment, the door swings wide open, interrupting their conversation. As Erinner moves to investigate, she bolts. Once she's gone, their dark conversation resumes. The king is naming a crown prince. Erinner scoffs that the common-blooded king only sees the throne by luck. Byron then brings up the investiture ceremony for Enzel's new crown prince. Erinner notes the empire's envoy will be Winfried. Byron's suggestion is chilling. Assassinate him. Erinner fiercely disagrees. Enraged, Byron slams his glass down, demanding that they change their perspective. He tries to sway Erinner, mocking his tireless service to a hopeless duke. A man with such ambition must aim for the very top, so he tempts Erinner to claim the throne himself. Blinded by greed, Erag accepts Byron's poisoned words, vowing to do anything. He asks what must be done. Byron's command is simple: get rid of Gerald. Meanwhile, Gerald fumes over the cancelled engagement. He calls his own father a coward. He tries to explain that Aya is not Byron's true daughter. Gerald's fury then turns on Aya. He scoffs at her common blood. He then orders his father to deliver an ultimatum. Aya must spend one day with him. In a shocking turn, Byron agrees to this demand. Gerald's obsession with Aya is truly terrifying. The next day, Gerald announces their date. Aya can only agree. Byron's decision is absolute. She asks when this day will begin. During the festival, he replies, stealing a kiss from her. He whispers that they must spend it in a special way. He adds the festival celebrates the crown prince's investiture, an event swarming with royal guests. The capital will be alive from dawn to dusk. Lost in the moment, Aya prays she will see Winfried again. Gerald's sharp voice breaks her trance. She quickly apologizes for her lapse. Back in the Pale Empire, the Chamberlain discusses Winfried's formal attire for the ceremony, suggesting he rest at Wisehaven Manor. Excitedly, Winfried wonders what gift he should bring for Noah, Isla's younger brother. Vina, his attendant, suggests a mobile decoration. Winfried turns to the Chamberlain, asking for his opinion. The Chamberlain agrees it's a fine gift, but it must be a custom piece, personally chosen by Winfried. A gift selected by his own hands. He offers to contact an artisan, but Winfried is distracted. He finds it strange how comfortable the Chamberlain is with Vinka. He never even points out the strange things she says. The Chamberlain calls his name. The measurements are done. Winfried recalls a grim conversation with his father. They spoke of his volatile uncle, whose anger was both explosive and malicious. His father's advice was chilling. Feel no guilt if you must threaten his life. Winfried vows to never become that man. He is determined to make his father proud, and to face the Wisehaven family and Aya with his head held high. Moments later, he dismisses Vinka, leaving her worried. She asks why he seems so distant, why they're growing apart. He offers a simple excuse. He must keep his distance to stop any dangerous rumors from circulating. Since he is the crown prince, Vinka apologizes for her carelessness and promises to be more discreet. But as she leaves, her eyes hold a cold, sharp glare. Winfried knows he must draw a line with her. In the 𝑑𝒓𝒊𝒏 kingdom, Candace demands information on local smugglers from a nervous bartender. Two men watch, wondering who she is and how she got their captain, Bunny, wrapped around her finger. Suddenly, the captain bursts in with urgent news. A local boatman has been spending lavishly after taking on a rich client. This wealthy customer has only one arm. He travels with a guard, a wife, and his two daughters. Though they seem like nobles, it could be Byron's group. Candace suspects the guard is the heir's second son. She decides to meet the boatman in person. She thanks Bunny and turns to leave. But Bunny declares he's joining her on this journey. They rush out together into the streets. As the day begins, people gather in the capital for the grand festival procession. Winfried receives endless praise from the cheering crowd. From afar, Bunny notices Candace watching the procession. He asks if she knows who the crown prince is. She lies without a hint of hesitation. Her mind flashes back to Winfried watching over Noah. He had offered to go to 𝑑𝒓𝒊𝒏 with her, but she firmly refused. It was too dangerous for him to stand out. She told Oilia she'd be delayed by personal research. She can always spare more time for a friend in need. Touched, Oilia dragged Candace to her office, desperately searching for her unfinished research. On-time reversal. She hands over the documents, asking her to complete them, but Candace flatly refuses. Oilia insists, repeating her plea. Left with no other choice, Candace finally accepts the burden. Back in the present, they leave the parade. A carriage passes, carrying Gerald and a silent Aya. He mentions a reserved tea house, but she doesn't react. He is determined to make Aya submit, using the very thing he carries in his pocket. A glimpse from her window stops her world. It's Winfred. Could it truly be him? He had no siblings. It had to be. A familiar sorrow fills her heart. Their paths wouldn't cross again, but this fleeting glance was enough for now. Meanwhile, during the procession, Winfred suggests a detour for gifts, as 𝒓𝒐𝒏 is famed for its stone jewelry. Suddenly, Aya's face appears in his mind. He decides to buy her a token, though not a ring. At the manor, Byron's dark scheming is interrupted. He excuses himself, heading for the palace. He was destined for the throne anyway. This event meant little. Byron speaks of the Primus tribe hidden beyond the mountains. His order is chillingly simple: provoke the 𝒓𝒐𝒏 tribe and frame the empire for the chaos. His brother would surely send his best forces north, leaving the capital's borders vulnerable. That is when he will strike. As a second measure, he'll support the empire with supplies, forging a false trust. And with that, the throne can finally be seized. At a tea house, Gerald mockingly tells Aya to order anything, sneering at her commoner hesitation, leaving her confused. He boasts about the grand life she'll lead as his wife. Just then, a lavish dessert spread arrives. He remarks on her swordsmanship, then cruelly calls her an obedient dog. Tears suddenly stream down her face, startling him. He offers a comforting hug, and she accepts. But as he holds her, a distinct scent drifts from his pocket. Dried poison ivy. With a deft move, she takes a pinch. Excusing herself, she dusts the powder into his tea. The trap is set. Moments later, Gerald slumps over as the staff rushes forward in panic. Aya calmly explains he's merely overworked and needs rest, requesting a private room. The staff leads them to a room, one Gerald had ominously prepared in advance. With Gerald unconscious, Aya's fury surfaces. She smudges cake on his face, a sweet revenge for ants to deliver. Finally free, she slips away to explore the bustling festival streets. She uses her sharp skills to win a stuffed bunny for a crying child. Then her gaze is captured by a glittering jewelry stall. Her eyes land upon a single ring. Its gem, the exact shade of Winfred's eyes. The owner's sudden appearance startles her. He explains the stones carry nature's energy, bringing good fortune. She hadn't planned on buying, but soon finds herself choosing gifts for her true family and a new sibling to come. Using Gerald's stolen wallet, she pays 1 gold for the 4 precious items. The owner praises her choices as he wraps them. Suddenly, a man appears, holding out a silver ring with a blue gem. She turns toward the man, and her heart stops cold. It's Winfred. He notes her hair is different, but says she was worth rushing to find. Then he speaks the words she longed to hear. I missed you. After so long, their fates have finally intertwined. And on that long-awaited reunion, our story pauses. What does destiny have in store for them now? Let us know if you wish to see more. Subscribe and stay tuned for where their path leads. We shall meet again in the next chapter.